Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. A brand new Avengers Doomsday teaser trailer leaked out for the X-Men this time, and it is peak. It is the best one so far. I don't know how they're going to top this just in terms of the actual teasers themselves. There's so many characters in Avengers Doomsday, so I do understand why they want to focus on different characters, different groups of characters in the teasers, but this is the best one. They should have just led with this. There are only a couple of them that we can actually spot in the footage just because it is potato quality. My hope is, like they've done with the other teasers, they'll eventually, like within a couple weeks, release the official HD version online. But there is enough for us to actually break it down here. There are a whole bunch of Easter eggs, a bunch of payoffs, long-running payoffs that we've been waiting 20 plus years to actually get, like a comic book accurate live-action version of Cyclops, even though technically Magneto is not in his classic comic book accurate costume. This one that Patrick Stewart's Professor X is wearing is also a version from the comics, although they've changed some things, like he's not in the yellow floaty chair from the comics. But a really good way to think about this is that the characters during Avengers Doomsday will look more like the X-Men the Animated Series characters, which those particular costumes were based on the 90s versions of the costumes. During X-Men 97, they did that during Season 1 and during X-Men the Animated Series, but then by X-Men 97 Season 2, they'll be updating, moving through the eras of their comics. There'll be a couple different versions of the comics. They kind of did this during X-Men 97 Season 1 too, where at the very end, they wore costumes that were based on Pride of the X-Men. The animated series takes the opportunity during seasons to jump through a couple different eras, like many different references from different eras in the comics. The main difference with Avengers Doomsday is that the movie itself will take place over a much shorter period of time, like it will last for a couple days as they go from beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. The only real exceptions, I think, to that will be them showing some flashbacks, maybe for some characters' backstories briefly, but for the most part, it will take place over the course of a very short time period. I can't put the entire audio from the teaser in this for copyright reasons, but probably one of the most notable things is that across the trailer, instead of a slower orchestral version of the Avengers theme music, because these are X-Men characters in this teaser, we're on the X-Men's world, it's a slower orchestral version of the X-Men the Animated Series theme music that plays across the trailer, which is absolutely peak.
The question is, who will you be?
Kevin Feige said a couple years ago when they came to him asking to do a new version, like a revival for X-Men the Animated Series, he said absolutely yes on the spot, on the condition that they were able to get the original voice actors to come back, which they did in most cases. Some of them have passed away since the original X-Men the Animated Series. But the other main condition was that they locked down the rights to the original X-Men the Animated Series theme music, which is also why you heard a version of it, like a slightly different version, during the Ms. Marvel series when they revealed that she was a mutant inside the MCU like Namor. They updated it a little bit for X-Men 97, so it's like slightly different from the original X-Men the Animated Series theme music, a little more orchestral and a little more drawn out, like a little bit longer. Now it seems like what they've done for Avengers Doomsday is they made a more orchestral version, which makes a lot of sense. They did the same thing with the Avengers theme music. Like Alan Silvestri has recorded like 10 different versions of the Avengers theme music for the different movies. Tonally, they want all these teasers to feel very serious, like serious as cancer. Starting at the beginning of the footage, all of this is meant to take place at the X-Mansion, including the Cyclops scene. You can see the balcony behind him and the giant boot of a Sentinel with flames all around them, like it's happening right after a battle has gone down, confirming some of the other battle damage that we see during the trailer. They start with that slower, more orchestral version of the X-Men the Animated Series theme music, and you hear Magneto's voice setting the tone saying, "Death comes for us all, that much I know for sure." Generally, it seems like we start at the top levels of the X-Mansion and slowly work our way down to the bottom levels. Basically giving you the Zillow tour of the X-Mansion, like slowly panning across all the different hallways. Then it starts moving down the staircase to the main level, like the main foyer area here. Magneto's voice is the only voice in the trailer. Then he says, "That much I know for sure." Then the music starts to swell up a little bit and get a little bit bigger, and they mix in a little bit of the Alan Silvestri Avengers theme music. Then it's kind of hard to make out here, but this is actually the broken plaque to Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters from the front of the gate on the ground, like it's happening after a battle, and this is battle damage, the sign has fallen down. There's going to be a very big battle at the X-Mansion. We saw in some of the behind-the-scenes footage with Sentinels, which are supposedly going to be controlled by Dr. Doom with some runes. Really good example of that is the Sentinel boot that you see next to Cyclops with all the battle damage around him when he's firing his eye beam into the sky. There are actually some of Doctor Doom's magical runes on the official Avengers Doomsday poster that the Marvel account tweeted out a little while ago too. They kind of got into the concept of sigils and runes during the Agatha All Along series and during WandaVision. Basically, the idea is there's a really easy way to actually put up spells, like permaspells, that will last longer without you actually having to continually recast the spell. Like Doctor Doom wants to control a bunch of Sentinels and he doesn't want to have to keep casting spells to keep them under his control, so he just puts runes on them.
Listen. Are you prepared to die?
They pan across a couple bookcases closer to the library of the X-Mansion, and Magneto goes on to say, the question isn't whether you're prepared to die, the question is, who will you be when you close your eyes? This also might be a slight reference to Cyclops, because during the trailer, he has the visor on, like he can't open his eyes, or else he will basically level everything in the area because of the way his powers work. Probably one of the craziest twists from the comics about the way they explain his powers too is that he's not just shooting eye beams out of his eye, it's actually a portal to another dimension, so like it's energy from another dimension coming out of his eyes. That's why it's so powerful. Therefore, technically, just because of the way his powers work, he has to keep his eyes closed all the time when he doesn't have the visor, or he doesn't have the glasses with the special eyeglasses. We start to see Professor X rolling his wheelchair, and it is a version from the original X-Men movies, the Bryan Singer versions, the metal-looking version. And he's basically rolling it through the house to go see Magneto. And it looks like what's happening here is you see Magneto in the background. He's kind of blurry, like they focus on the actual chess set here. They're in the middle of a scene of Professor X and Magneto playing another game of chess like they've always played chess, and Magneto is levitating one of the pieces with his powers of magnetism. Guess that means it's a metallic chess set. Then the scene transitions to Professor X in a blue version of his comic book, more militaristic jacket uniform, which he wore during X-Men 97. He wore a green version during X-Men 97 and X-Men the Animated Series. That's the actual look from the 90s comics. They just made it blue for the purposes of this movie. And he grabs Magneto's hand, who looks much, much older. That is because Ian McKellen in real life is 86 years old when they filmed this. He claimed that supposedly this might be his final film role of any kind. Like, he made all kinds of jokes about him potentially passing away before this actually hits the screen. So please, Ian McKellen, do not pass away this year or next year or even the year after that. You have many more great movies inside of you. Please do not die. And for reference, Patrick Stewart, when he's filming this, like this year, he is also 85 years old. So they are very, very old. Please, Kevin Feige, do not kill them off at the beginning of the movie. There are going to be a number of people that do not survive to Avengers Secret Wars just because of the way things end. The whole time runs out that they're adapting from the comics, the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars run, Battle World, what's going on. So obviously the body count is going to be very high, but really, really worried about some of these X-Men characters. Then there's a little bit more of the Alan Silvestri Avengers theme music mixed into X-Men the Animated Series theme music. And we get probably the best Cyclops shot that we've ever gotten in a live-action movie. Like, this just looks absolutely amazing. They should have led with this at the very beginning, with the battle damage all around him on the balcony in the backyard of the X-Mansion with the big Sentinel boot next to him. So it seems like Doctor Doom has come and tried to destroy the X-Men. Like, this is after a major battle. We saw a lot of behind the scenes of this early on when they were filming the movie, a lot of X-Mansion behind the scenes, particularly the rear grounds, which is where Cyclops is right here. So it's probably this scene here they were filming. They're going to butt heads with the Avengers characters when they meet them for the first time, the other hero characters like the Fantastic Four, but ultimately they will all work together as much as possible. But the idea, I think, is that they will really have a big fight against Doctor Doom, and that's what most of this battle damage is for, where Cyclops seems so torn up and so upset. Generally, it seems like Doctor Doom wastes the X-Mansion, R.I.P. X-Mansion. It wouldn't be an X-Men movie if they didn't blow up the X-Mansion in it. Like, that's a recurring theme in all the X-Men movies. At some point, the X-Mansion will get torched. They kind of did a version of this during X3 when he went back to Alkali Lake after Jean's death, just because he was so torn up, like he was just dealing with the trauma from her death during X2. Then the same transition to the Avengers Doomsday countdown and the Avengers Doomsday logo that we see at the end of all the teasers. There are a lot of theories that we're actually looking at the backdrop for Doctor Doom's throne, like that's why it's so cast in green here. Would not be surprised if he does have a throne at some point during the movie, just because that is very in keeping with the tone of Doctor Doom, just in general in the comics. Technically, he is the king of Latveria, so he does have the right to sit on a throne. For the most part, I think we all believe that this X-Men world that they feature during the movie with this version of the team is the same universe that Monica Rambeau got stuck in at the end of the Marvels movie. Just to explain where all the characters are, it's just for efficiency's sake, it makes sense that that's the world because we saw Kelsey Grammer's Beast there, and he talked about Professor X Charles during that teaser. What I'm also interested to see is if they just say that this is the same world as the original X-Men movies, or they say it's a completely different one. Just because of what happened during Deadpool and Wolverine. So Deadpool and Wolverine, at the end of that movie, including Laura Kinney too, because X-23 is with them at the end of that, they wind up on the official X-Men world from those original X-Men movies at the end of that film. There are a lot of other logical issues that movie raises because on that world, that means there's two versions of Wolverine at that point in the timeline, two versions of Laura Kinney that will eventually be there because she hasn't been born yet on that world when that movie takes place. Based on what they've said so far about the movie is that Wolverine and Deadpool and potentially X-23 are not with this team of X-Men when a lot of the plot goes down in the movie, when Doctor Doom comes and when the other Avengers characters, the Fantastic Four characters, encounter them. Like, Wolverine and Deadpool are off doing their own thing and they come into the story in a slightly different way. That kind of makes it seem like they're on a different world, but they don't have to be on a different world. Like, they say it's the same world that all those different X-Men characters are on. It's not going to break the logic. There are a couple big matchups and fights that the actors talked about when they were filming. So there's a Mr. Fantastic versus Nightcrawler scene. Just imagine the way his teleporting powers will work against Mr. Fantastic's stretchy powers. Shang-Chi versus Gambit, and remember this is going to be Channing Tatum's version of Gambit, also from Deadpool and Wolverine, which makes easy sense to say that his X-Men team that he was talking about during the movie was this X-Men team. And probably they were the ones that helped save him at the end of that movie and brought him back to their world. Streets are saying Gambit will go up against Doctor Doom. Even though Gambit in the comics is meant to be an Omega-level mutant, I don't know if they're going to take Channing Tatum's Gambit character to that level during Avengers Doomsday. There's just no way there's enough time, but there's so many characters. Even if Doctor Doom wasn't wearing the strongest plot armor you have ever seen in a Marvel movie before, there's probably no way that on normal levels Gambit will be able to fight Doctor Doom. We're supposed to see Yelena versus Mystique. Under normal conditions, Mystique would stomp her. Captain America versus Cyclops. I assume they're talking about Anthony Mackie's Captain America because Chris Evans is going to be coming in the movie as Steve Rogers or like a version of Nomad. He's not going to be going by the Captain America moniker in the movie. So when people refer to Captain America in the movie, having fights, having scenes, they're probably talking about the Anthony Mackie Captain America. Weirdly, people are saying there's going to be a Captain Marvel versus Monica Rambeau fight. I'm not sure why, because of the way the Marvels movie ended. Like, they're actually made up at the end of that movie. They're friends now, and Captain Marvel's been trying to find a way to save her, and Monica Rambeau has been trying to find a way to get back to Captain Marvel, the main MCU. Maybe this is early in the movie when they're confused about what's going on and like the new Avengers characters just like roll in and they all meet each other for the first time. Like, oh, holy crap, who are you? We better fight first. That is kind of the way things go when like a whole bunch of superpowered characters show up that you've never met before. You think that they're a threat. Then they probably quickly realize that they're all on the same team. They're all trying to help each other. There's supposed to be a Sentry and Void fight versus Professor X. This will actually be very interesting because of the way Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness went down with like a version that they teased of him trying to do that with Scarlet Witch because of the way their powers all work. That version did not go well for Professor X, but imagine a much better version of that scene because the whole idea during the Thunderbolts movie is that they literally travel into Bob's mind, like they're inside the void, but they're technically inside Bob's mind. This is basically the bread and butter of Professor X's main power, and he is the most powerful telepath on the planet that he is on, whatever planet he happens to be on. Going on a mind space tour of the void during Avengers Doomsday. Then there's supposed to be a big battle royale of Mr. Fantastic and Cyclops and Captain America all against Doctor Doom at the same time, it sounds like. My assumption there is that they are also still not enough to defeat Doctor Doom just because of the way he's using magic and technology in combination to give himself even more power. A lot of these fights against Doctor Doom are also red herrings too because, like I said, plot reasons, his strong plot armor, he will be the person who survives into Avengers Secret Wars. There'll be a couple characters that don't die, but he's going to steamroll pretty much every other group of characters in the movie. Basically like another version of Thanos during Avengers Infinity War, where like there are a couple moments where they're able to fight him back or like hold him to a standstill briefly, but ultimately he is victorious. But instead of Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, the Infinity Stones being the big MacGuffin of the movie, they're swapping that for Doctor Doom and what'll probably wind up being the power cosmic instead of the Beyonder's power, which they used during the Jonathan Hickman version of all this that they're adapting for the movies. This is also why I think they started with the Fantastic Four teaser, and that's meant to happen at the very beginning of the Avengers Doomsday timeline, and because of Franklin Richards' power cosmic. Then there's supposed to be a God Loki versus Doctor Doom fight at some point during the movie. Also, think gonna end predictably, like Loki will be able to hold him to a standstill, literally and metaphorically, because of the way that he can stop time, but Doctor Doom will also be able to eventually defeat him. There'll be a lot more that we'll learn about the characters in the next couple of months as we get more official footage. So hopefully, when they start releasing the official trailers down with like more characters in them, like longer trailers, we'll get more details about what's going on with the X-Men characters. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below. If there's any Easter eggs or references that you spotted during this that I didn't talk about in this video or my previous videos, just write them below in the comments and I'll add them to my future bonus videos. Like I said, they're probably going to release an HD crisp version of this in like another week after they roll in the 4th teaser. There's supposed to be 4 different teasers. This X-Men one is the 3rd one, and they just release a new one each week in front of Avatar, and then the previous one online in an HD crisp version. There should be a shiny, crisp, HD official version of the Thor teaser in a couple days. I'll do a video for that when it does release. Then there should be an official version of this X-Men one in a couple more weeks too. Like, it seems like they are eventually releasing them all online. So thank you, Marvel, for eventually releasing them online. We are also in the middle of the Stranger Things finale, so look out for my finale video in a couple days. I just posted my video for Volume 2 episodes. I'll put a link for that in the comments below. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get a shiny, crisp HD official version of the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer too. I've already done a video for the leaked version of that trailer. Click here for that, and click here for all those other Avengers Doomsday teaser trailer videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.